And I'm going to read from John's Gospel, chapter 9. Now, my message is really taken from this. If you want to follow, you can follow through John chapter 9. But let me just start at the beginning. As Jesus passed by, it doesn't particularly say where he was at that moment, but as he passed by, he saw a man who was born blind. So at that moment, all we've got is Jesus going down the street and passes a blind man. It's pretty obvious that he would be a beggar. So the disciples now raise a question. And they said, why is he blind? This is an enormous question, and that's why I want to actually look at it for a short time today, because really this was an accusation, and I'm sometimes troubled by this accusation because I actually have come up against it in my ministry. I know that at one time, even with me, when I had lung cancer, you know, the miracle of my throat cancer, when I had lung cancer, somebody who knows me extremely well, is a supporter of the ministry, not in England, can I tell you, in another country, actually said, the reason David is sick with lung cancer is because he sinned. Well, I can laugh because, of course, my healing from lung cancer was one of the big miracles of my life. So it obviously puts a lie to that. But you see, you've got exactly the same thing here, because if I read on in verse 2, the disciples looking at the blind man, they must obviously have stopped by now, and looking at him, they're saying, why is he blind? Who sinned? Was it this man or his parents that he was born like this? Now, that's a little bit of a stupid question, but I'm sorry, because how could the man have sinned before he was born? I mean, he was born blind, as a little bit begs the question. So the assumption is that he was born blind because of his parents' sin. But Jesus gave a straight answer. And that's why I'm dealing with this. In verse 3, it's absolutely clear. Here it is in the Bible. Neither this man has sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Now, there's no question that, without even just looking at the question of the causes of sickness, because in so many of the cases, sickness can be caused by wrong lifestyles. Come on, let's be right with it. A lot of sickness, I don't know if I said 50% of sickness treated by the health service is caused by wrong living, but certainly a lot of things are. But the whole thing here is, Jesus was not so much concerned with the cause of the blindness, so much as the answer. Because he said, don't look at the cause of the sickness. This is going to give rise to an enormous miracle that will give glory to God. And I do know that certainly in my own personal case, I would say that my two major sicknesses, and I've had others, but my two major sicknesses which I've been healed from were, of course, the two cancers, the cancer in my throat in 1964, and the cancer in my lungs, which was 20 years ago. And in both cases, I did pray for 3 months, and for 3 months I didn't get an answer. But when the answer came, it was an absolute miracle. In both cases, you know the story. I had no treatment. I mean, I was making a stand that if I was going to be healed, no one was going to get the suggestion it was partly due to medication or whatever. it was absolutely clear. And in the first one, I didn't realize at the time, but it's only in my later years, as I look back over my life, I realized how big the miracle was of the throat cancer, because what the doctors saw when they examined me and saw that the cancer had gone was they saw the evidence that the hand of God had made the operation and cut the cancer out. Now that's very significant. They said, we see the scar tissue, we see that somebody has made an operation. And of course, the answer was only God could have done that. And also when I had the lung cancer, that didn't just disappear. It was a phenomenal experience. Only 20 years ago, I can remember it so clearly, how the cancer actually came out of my mouth and was completely gone. And what I do find is this, that in so many cases where I see particularly outstanding miracles of healing, that they end up as being an evidence to the power and the glory of God.